Hey there, friends. Today we're going to talk about some Kriya work. So kriyas are what we call in yoga cleansing practices, and they can show up in a bunch of different ways. Most of you, or many of you, may be familiar with what's called neti kriya, and that's when we take that little teapot and pour salt water through our nostrils. That's a sinus cleansing practice. In yoga, we have a ton of these kriyas, and what we're going to talk about today are the abdominal kriyas, or the internal organ cleansing practices. The first thing that you need to know when we start to go into these abdominal cleansing practices is that all of them require the student to have a level of comfort when holding the breath out, or doing what we call the exhale retention. So if off the bat you know that holding your breath out is something that's a little bit uncomfortable for you, stick with just this first practice that I'll talk through, which is called Uddiyana Kriya, or the abdominal lock. After we talk through Uddiyana Kriya, you'll have the opportunity to play a little bit with what's called Nauli Kriya, which is the abdominal churning, a little bit of a more advanced practice. But let's start with Uddiyana. So Uddiyana Kriya, as I mentioned, the abdominal flying lock, starts by holding the breath out. After we exhale the breath till we're comfortably empty, the next step of it is to hold what's called Jalandhara Bandha, which is the throat lock. So we tuck the chin tight into the sternum. First we exhale out, then we do throat lock, then we create the abdominal lock. Let me show. You can take a look and see what this looks like. All right, here we go. Now, depending on your level of experience with exhale retention, Uddiyana Kriya can be held for up to just like a quick beat, or you can start to build up holding Uddiyana out for even up to a 10 or 20 count. You'll notice that when I exited Uddiyana Kriya, I did the exact opposite in order. First the belly releases, then the chin releases, then we breathe normally. So let's give it a try. I'll talk you through one round here together. Start with just a cleansing breath in and out through the nose. Take a deep breath in through the nose, and then out the mouth, exhale until you're comfortably empty, no forcing. Hold the breath out and tuck the chin into the chest. Keep that, and then scoop the abdominals up like you're trying to zip up all the way to the throat. Hold for as long as is interesting, then release the belly, lift the chin, and breathe normally. Now, some of you may have felt a slight tugging in the back of the throat, and that's really normal. If that's something that's uncomfortable, that means you need to tuck the throat just a little bit more. All right, so again, just to recap, inhale, exhale till you're comfortably empty, lock the throat, Jalandhara Bandha, and then lock the belly, scooping the abdominals up and in. Once you're ready to release, the belly releases first, the throat releases second, and then you breathe normally. So I'll do one more round. Go ahead and move with me, starting with a deep breath in and out. Now, you may be wondering, like, okay, Abby, why would we do these weird contortion-y things with our stomach and with our abdominals? Both Uddiyana Kriya and Nauli, which we'll do next, are really, really powerful practices, first and foremost, to help clear and cleanse your internal organs. We literally compress them and then release them, which flushes them with blood and interstitial fluid. Also, it's really good for the muscles of your core and your lower back. So for me, I have low back tenderness, and so I actually use this practice as a way to release low back pain. Additionally, a couple kind of cool little things about Uddiyana, as well as Nauli, is that they'll help you to get rid of hiccups. And if you have gas stuck in your intestines, that feeling of sharp pain sometimes, if you do Uddiyana, it'll actually help you to move that more quickly. So really beautiful benefits to these practices. Now, when we worked through Uddiyana, let's give a try to Nauli Kriya, which is that abdominal churning. So Nauli is a little bit of a different beast because it requires a bit more skillfulness and sort of education through your abdominal muscles. Once I demo this, what you'll notice is that my belly is literally like waving through like an ocean. And what's happening there is that at first, one portion of the core, the obliques, is turning on while the other two relax. Then the rectus abdominis in the middle is relaxed with the other two engaged, and then vice versa. So we're literally moving through the musculature. Now, before we go through this, one thing that I want to note is that everybody has a dominant side with this. And so you'll notice that one side feels way easier to access than the other, and that's totally normal and just requires a little bit more practice. Now, to the logistics of how do we do Nauli. Now, the first thing that we do is we enter through Uddiyana Kriya. So you go through that same process of exhaling the breath out, holding the breath out, and then creating the chin and belly locks. From there, what I've found the most effective is imagining that I'm moving my rib cage around in a circle. I've also heard this taught as people moving their hips around in a circle. For me, that's not quite as effective, so I'm going to talk through the way that works best for me. Now, Nauli Kriya can be done standing. Also, if you find that that's a little bit challenging, you can also always do this from tabletop position on hands and knees. Now, let's begin in Uddiyana just like we did before. And for those of you who would rather just stick with your Uddiyana practice, feel free to stay right there. If you're moving into Nauli, you'll move with me into the additional cues. Again, just start with a clearing breath in and out. Deep breath in through the nose. Exhaling all the breath out, and then watch my belly. Now, I know it looks a little freaky, like something that your little kid brother would like chase you around with when you were kids, but this practice, as I mentioned, is really, really beautiful for building intelligence and skillfulness in the core. It can feel a little bit funky at first, and it can take some time to create this skillfulness. So if you practice this for a while and you're like, nothing's happening, just know that that's totally normal. One of my really dear friends has actually been trying to do Nauli for about a decade and still hasn't quite gotten it. I also know people on the flip side who've tried it, and within a month of trying it daily, they figured it out. So this doesn't so much have to do with how like good or advanced you are at yoga. It has more to do with the diligence, right? Just keep trying it, keep trying it, keep trying it, and see what happens. So I will demo one more round. Here we go. The only other thing that you really should know about Nauli as well as Uddiyana is that this is best done on an empty stomach. If you've eaten anything or had a lot to drink within even, I'd say like 3 hours before doing this, it can feel pretty gross because you're literally just like smushing food around. So I really recommend doing this every morning, right when you wake up, or giving yourself 3-ish hours after you've eaten in order to give this practice a try. So again, both Uddiyana and Nauli, beautiful practices that work with the nervous system. Every time we exhale and hold the breath out, we're working with our parasympathetic nervous system, moving more into rest and digest. We're also working with our digestive system, moving our internal organs around, helping with the musculature in the core, in the back. So these practices are super powerful, really beautiful practices to build intelligence and inquiry around the belly and around the core. So I encourage you to play with these, give them a try, and just remember to come at them with a sense of intrigue and a sense of playfulness. Don't take yourself too seriously, and have fun while you try them. Thank you so much for joining me today, and feel free to comment, like, follow, and if you have any questions, feel free to add those in the comments or reach out to me directly. All right, my friends, with so much love and gratitude as always, thank you.